Okay, so this project is becoming bigger than me. I want to find, in order to truly understand Captain James M. Meade, we got to understand all the nations that had participated in the Battle of Frenchtown that had murdered him. And there's a ton of tribes that we need to go through. And they're all Algonquin speakers. There's the Potawatomi were the original ones. Potawatomi, they were Native American people of the upper Mississippi River, traditionally speaking Potawatomi language, member of the Algonquin family. They generally call themselves the Potawatomi, a name that means keeper of the fire. So they're the keepers of the fire, and that was applied to them by their Ojibwe brothers. They originally called themselves Anishinaabe, the cognate of the word Anishinaabe. Potawatomi is a part of a long-term alliance called the Council of the Three Fires between the Chippewa, the Ottawa, and themselves. And in the Council of the Three Fires, the Potawatomi are considered the youngest brother. So they're the youngest brother. That's something about the Potawatomi. They're part of the Council of the Three Fires, and they're the youngest brother of the Council of the Three Fires with the Chippewa and the Ottawa. Now the Delaware, they're considered the grandfathers of the Shawnee. They're the Lenape, or they're also called the Lenape, L-E-N-A-P-E, the Lenape. Okay, the Lenape. So the Delaware, also called the Lenape. So the Lenape are Native Americans now living in Canada and the United States. They were called the Delaware Indians after historic territory along the frequently mountainous landscapes flanking the Delaware River watershed as a result of disruptions of political will of white population following the American Revolutionary War and later developments, such as the oft-voiced attitudes later turned to manifest destiny, which in part led to the Indian removals from the eastern United States. The main groups now live in Ontario, Canada, Wisconsin, Oklahoma. Jenny Bob and her daughter Nellie Longhat, both Delaware, Oklahoma. Lenape kinship system is a matrilineal clan, so the children belong to their mother's clan, from which they gain social status and identity. The mother's eldest brother is more significant as a mentor to the male child than his father. Of another clan, hereditary leadership passed through the maternal line, and women elders could remove leaders of whom they disapproved. So the Lenape were matriarchal, okay? So the Delaware were a matriarchal family. So that's important. The Delaware are matrilineal clans, so that's where their social status and identity came from, their mother. The women could also remove leaders if they disapproved of them. Agricultural land was managed by women and allotted according to subsistence needs of their extended family. So these are the grandfathers of the Shawnee. So the Shawnees feels like they came from the Delaware people, and the Delaware people are matriarchal. So I wonder how the Shawnee people are. Families are matrilocal. Newlywed couples would live with the bride's family, where her mother and sisters could also assist her with her growing family. Most Lenape were pushed out of their homeland by expanding European colonies during the 18th century after losses from intertribal conflicts. The Lenape communities were weakened by newly introduced diseases, mainly smallpox, and violence by Europeans. Iroquois people occasionally fought the Lenape. Surviving the Lenape moved west into the upper Ohio River basin. The American Revolutionary War and the United States independence pushed them further west. In the 21st century, most Lenape now reside in the United States of Oklahoma, and some communities live in Wisconsin, Ontario, and in their traditional homelands. So it's the Delaware Indians. The Miami Indians are a Native American nation originally speaking one of the Algonquin language, another Algonquin speaking Indian tribe. Among the peoples known as the Great Lakes tribes that occupied territory is now identified as Indiana, southwest Michigan, and western Ohio. By 1846, most of the Miami had been removed to Indian territory, now Oklahoma. The Miami tribe of Oklahoma is the only federally recognized tribe of Miami Indians in the United States. The Miami Nation of Indiana is unrecognized. Little Chief is a Miami chief, so Little Chief. The name Miami derives from Miami, Mayamia. The plural is Miyaki. The tribe's autonym, the name for themselves in the Algonquin language of the Miami, Illinois. So that's what they call themselves, the Mayamia. The Mayamia. So it's not the Miami, it's the Mayamia, which sounds better. I mean, Miami, Mayamia, and plural is Mayamiaki is the plural version, and I like that better. So the Mayamia, the Mayamiaki. Some scholars contend the Miami also called themselves the Twite the Twitwi, also the Twatwa. Supposedly an onomatopoeic reference to their sacred bird, the sandhill crane. Twatwa, so that's Twatwa, Twatwa. It says the term, their Maiamia is the downstream people, but the onomatopoeic reference to the sacred bird, the sandhill crane. Studies show that the Twigwi derives from the Delaware language exonym for the Miamis. Some Miami also say that's still a name used by other tribes, but they also use some other name. So Miami continue to use this autonym today. Early Miami people are considered the Maiamia. So the Maiamia people, the Fisher tradition of the Mississippian culture, Mississippian society is characterized by maize-based agriculture, chiefdom-level social organization, extensive regional trade networks, hierarchical settlement patterns, other factors. Historical Maiamia engaged in hunting, as did other Mississippian peoples. During historic times, the Maiamia were known to have migrated south and eastwards from Wisconsin from mid-17th century to the mid-18th century, by which time they had settled on the upper Wabash River, which is now northwestern Ohio. The migration was likely a result of their being invaded during the protracted Beaver Wars by the more powerful Iroquois, who traveled far in strong organized groups. War parties from their territory in central and western New York for better hunting during the peak of the eastern beaver fur trader days. The Dutch and French traders, and after 1652, the British fueled demand. The warfare and social disruption contributed to the decimation of Native American populations, but the major factor were fatalities from infectious diseases for which they had no immunity. These are believed to have reduced the populations by 90%. And then you got the Winnebago, who's actually called the Ho-Chunk, not the Winnebago. They're a Siouan-speaking tribe of the Native Americans, native to the present-day states of Wisconsin, Minnesota, parts of Iowa, and Illinois. The two federally recognized Ho-Chunk tribes, the Ho-Chunk Nation of Wisconsin and the Winnebago tribe of Nebraska, territorially primarily within the states included in their names. Since the late 20th century, the two tribal councils have authorized the development of gaming casinos to generate revenues to support economic development, infrastructure, healthcare, and education. The Ho-Chunk Nation is working on language restoration, has developed a Ho-Chunk language app for the iPhone. Since 1988, it has pursued a claim to the Badger Army ammunition plant as traditional territory. It has since been declared surplus, but the Ho-Chunk have struggled with changes in policies at the Department of the Interior. They supported their claim in 1998, but in 2011 refused to accept the property on their behalf to build on its revenues from casinos. The Winnebago tribe created an economic development corporation in 1994 has grown and received awards as a model of entrepreneurial small business. But the number of subsidiaries employs more than 1,400 people. Has also contributed to housing construction on the reservation. Like more than 60% of the federally recognized tribes, has legalized alcohol sales on the reservation in order to retain revenues that used to go to the state and retail taxes. The Ho-Chunk were the dominant tribe in the territory in the 16th century, with a population estimated at several thousand. Their traditions always lived in the area. Ho-Chunk, the Ho-Chak, it's numerous spelling variations. Ho-Chak, Ho-Tonke, Huchagara. So it's the Ho-Chunks. The Ho-Chunks is the Winnebagos. So the Ho-Chunks, Europeans tried to translate it to the fish eaters, or the trout people, the big fish people, the big speech people, the people with the big voice, the people with the parent speech, the people with the original language. The term Winnebago is derived from an exonym, that is, a name given to the people by others, in this case the neighboring Algonquin-speaking tribes such as the Fox, Sauk, and Chippewa, the Ojibwe. Various spellings exist reflecting the French and English colonists' attempts to record transliterations of the Algonquin words for the people. These includes Winnebago, other ones Winnipeg. The name has been variously translated as the people of the stinking water, people of the filthy water, people of the stagnant water, and people of the smelly waters. The written history of the Ho-Chunk begins with the records. So Winnebago means people of the stinking water, so that's not a nice. Winnebago is a mean term. It's sort of like the N-word for the Ho-Chunks. The Ho-Chunk is what they're called, the Ho-Chunk people. The written history of the Ho-Chunk begins with the records made from the reports of Jean Nicolet, who in 1634 was the first European to establish contact with this people. At that time, the Winnebago Ho-Chunk occupied the area around Green Bay of Lake Michigan, Wisconsin. Nicolet reported gathering of approximately 5,000 warriors as the Ho-Chunk entertained him. Historians estimate the population in 1634 may have ranged from 8,000 to more than 20,000. The warriors were said to be lost on Lake Michigan after they repulsed the first attack by invading Potawatomi from what is now Door County, Wisconsin. Creek Indians. Some Creek Indians call Kentucky home, according to Johnny Depp. So the Ho-Chunk people. You need to know about the Ho-Chunk people, how they were the Winnebago, and how the Winnebagos is the name of the stinking waters, Stinky Creek waters, whereas Ho-Chunk meant the name of the original people, the original language, the parent people, the parent speech, the big speech people, the people, the big voice. People of the original language, or the people of the sacred language, people of the big voice. Ho-Chunk. Ho-Chunk. That's what Ho-Chunk is. So if you use, the N-word, then you won't realize how important Ho-Chunk is. William Weatherford, also known as Red Eagle, he was a chief of the Upper Creek towns who led the Red Sticks offensive. He's a Creek, so if you want to know about a Creek Indian, one Creek Indian, his name is William Weatherford. So William Weatherford is a Creek Indian. William Weatherford is also known as Red Eagle. So it's Weatherford, Red Eagle, Creek. And then it has in parentheses a creek, Poarch. So it's a specific type of creek, the Poarch people. We can check out who the Poarch people is. The Muskego people. So this is the Muskego Creek. Muskego Creek. They're from the southeastern woodlands. They primarily live today in Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. Muskogee is their language, the Muskegean language family. Mississippian culture, they built earthwork mounds. Regional chiefdoms located in the Mississippi River and Valley. So, yeah, they were known as one of the 5 civilized tribes because they had integrated numerous cultural and technological practices of European Americans. Influenced by the prophetic interpretation of the 1811 comet and earthquake, the upper towns of the Muskegee, supported by Shawnee leader Tecumseh, began to resist the European American encroachment. Internal divisions with the lower towns led to the Red Stick War, the Creek War, 1813-1814, began as a civil war with the Muskego Nation and enmeshed them in the War of 1812 against the United States. So the Muskego Creek was fighting against James Meade. William Weatherford, I don't know if he was actually fighting against him or not, but William Weatherford is a Muskego Creek. So he was born in 1781. He dies in 1824. So he'd been alive during this time. He was of mixed Creek, French, and Scots ancestry. He was raised as a Creek in the Maternal Nation. So it's matriarchal. He achieved his power through his mother's prominent Wind clan as well as father's traditional connections. After the war, he rebuilt his wealth as a slaveholding planter in lower Monroe County, Alabama. Several sources state that Weatherford was born in 1765. And that is the date recorded on his tombstone, located in Little River, Baldwin County, Alabama. Many sources say that his mother, Seahoy III, was born in 1759. Also, his siblings were born in 1780s. It seemed most likely Weatherford's year of birth would be closer to 1780 or 81. The Sacs, or the Saukes, are a group of Native Americans of the Eastern Woodlands culture. Their autonym is Uakiwaki. Uakiwaki. And their exonym is Ojibwe. So the Ojibwe are the Saukes, which is, I've been saying Ojibwe for quite some time. The Saukes, and then their own antonym is Uakiwaki. Uakiwaki. So the Ojibwe, the Uakiwaki. And the latter is a source of their names in French and English. Originally, the Uakiwaki, the Sauk, the Ojibwa had a patrilineal clan system in which the descent was traced through their father clans, which continue are fish, ocean, sea, thunder, bear, fox, potato, deer, beaver, snow, and wolf. So there's 10 tribes, there's 10 clans that still continue today. The Ojibwa, the Sacs, the Uakiwaki, so the Uakiwaki. Wolf, snow, beaver, deer, potato, fox, bear, thunder, ocean, sea, and fish. There's 10 clans of the Sacs.